what's good? Supreme Almighty back in the building. We got the homie Triburo on the show tonight, you know what I mean? Gonna be chopping it up and shit. Shout out to the sponsors, Snow Goons, you know what I mean? Creative Juices Music, Elite Sound International, Blaze 'em Up Radio, Vinyl Frontier, Smiley the Ghetto Shop, Usual Suspect, Yo Peace. I hope y'all all had a great week, you know what I mean? An even better weekend, you know what I mean? Ready for the Super Bowl, get it popping, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're gonna be chopping it up with the homie in a few seconds, you know what I mean? Make sure to look out for that Mars 1 album, produced entirely by yours truly, you know what I mean? It's gonna be fire. Shout out to everybody who supports the show, you know what I mean? Appreciate all y'all. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Got a lot of dope joints going on. Yo, hit that request button, fam. I'm a little under the weather, so you know what I mean? Forgive me if I sound weird or whatever. Word. We're gonna be chopping it up. Yo, what's good? Peace. What's good, man? Good to finally meet you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Word. Yo, how's your week going, bro?
It's good, man. Chilling. How's your day going? How's your weekend going?
Yo, it's kind of rough. You know what I mean? The 9 to 5 shit is crazy, but you know, y'all made money. You know how that be. Word. So yeah, man. Let's get right into it, bro. So yo, yeah, I've been paying attention, man. You and Nostalgic, man. Y'all been doing your thing, and I know you got a whole bunch of other shit going on too. We're gonna get into all that as well. You know what I mean? I definitely appreciate you supporting the hip hop and shit. You know what I mean? I'll be checking out the shows and shit when I get a chance. And y'all really represent hip hop. Talk about all the old school shit. Talk about the current shit. So you know what I mean? That's what hip hop's all about, man. Share each other's music. You know what I'm saying? Hold it down for each other. You know what I mean? Like that's why I had to have you on here too, man. Because you know what I'm saying? Y'all got your own show, and it ain't nothing better than sharing platforms so everybody can know each other. You know what I'm saying?
Salute. Yeah, man. Shout out to Nostalgic. He's a great person to talk to. He knows his hip hop, and you know, we have like a group chat, and we're all in the same group chat. We all talk about hip hop every day, and it's fun. And you know, they all of those cats in there. They know they hip hop. You know, they every day we might they put each other on to different artists, and it's been fun. Like, you know, we got Mix and Match. We got that show. We got, you know, right now we're doing like the top 50 favorite rap albums ever. So every week, it's always fun with him, and you know, that's the homie.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we need more of that. You know what I'm saying? We need more, like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's so much hidden gems in a lot of the old school hip hop that gets overlooked. And it's like, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I base my show on, is digging in the crates a little bit here and there. You know what I mean? Try to really analyze shit, because like there's so much shit. You know what I'm saying? So much shit that's undiscovered, and it's a beautiful thing, because hip hop is a beautiful thing in general. But like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely appreciate what y'all do. I just had to put that out there first and foremost. But yeah, so I had a couple questions for you and whatnot. I mean, I'm pretty sure you might have been asked similar things. You know what I mean? 'Cause you've been doing shit for a minute, and y'all obviously on your shit with the hip hop. But first and foremost, so how did you come up with the name Triboro? I wanted to ask that straight off.
Everybody asks me that. That was a name that I had in the chat room back in, like, when Yahoo used to have like their little chat rooms. You know, when we had like AOL messages. And I just wanted to have something different, because everybody had the same name. They had like, you know, Pretty Thug, and you know, they had the same tag name, and I just wanted something different. And Triboro, the Triboro Bridge in New York, you know, that connects Brooklyn, you know, and you know, I'm from Brooklyn, born and bred, and you know, it made sense. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted something to stand out, but something that was more, true to me, and it stuck with me. That's actually my email too. That just stuck with me for years, and then people started calling me that, but it's like now I just be like, just call me Tri or Triboro. Just I just shorten it. So.
No doubt, no doubt. That's what's up. Yeah, I figured that's probably, you know what I mean, it has some kind of tie to it and shit. I'm from New York too, so like I had a feeling that might have been it. But y'all been wrong before though. I've been wrong before when I thought cats was from New York, but then they'd be like, nah, I'm from Canada, or from here, from there. I'd be like, damn. I'd be like, yo.
Raised in Brooklyn, man, Crown Heights. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh yeah, so you know the homie, you know the homie Skanks, Rusty Jokes and all that.
Rusty Jokes, I'm familiar with his music from Duck Down.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I know the homie Skanks be out there, man. He all over the place out there and shit. That's why when you said Crown Heights, that automatically popped up in the head and shit when you said that. So that's pretty crazy though. But yeah, that's what's up, man. So like, what did you start doing when you started with the whole hip hop vibe? You said, because I think me and you was talking about it. You said you might have been rapping back in the day, right?
Yeah, I started like I was writing rhymes as a kid, like back in 4th grade. Remember I had a contest in 4th grade, and it was about the teacher wanted us to write a rhyme, and I couldn't think of nothing. And I remember like sitting on my desk, I had like a can of Sprite, and I wrote a rhyme about the can of Sprite, and I won it. You know what I'm saying? I was shocked. You know what I'm saying? But I never wanted to be an artist. I just, you know what I'm saying? I felt like it was too much like stress. Too much stress to be an artist. So when I got older, when I was in my teens and started writing poetry, and I would dabble in it here and there, but I wasn't like serious about it. I knew other people that was serious, but they never did anything with their music, and then later on, like I ended up like doing street team stuff for like different labels for Arista and Bad Boy, Duck Down, Def Jam, and that was my passion more, was to promote my favorite artists and to see them their album go gold or multi-platinum. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was for me. But I wasn't like an artist. I just was like dabbling in like the whole like just getting my thoughts out there, because like I dealt with like a lot of family tragedy when I was a teenager. And I didn't really understand how to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like being the only child, coming from a single parent household, not having a dad in my life. And it was more like of, let me put my thoughts on paper of how I'm feeling for that day. So that it was more therapeutic. Like even with the hip hop, like listening to those classic albums at that time, it was more therapy for me to, just zone out for hours and listen to, classic hip hop. So.
Yeah, I think Prodigy's #1 quote that always stuck with me was "Music is therapeutic." That shit always stuck with me. Like I'm pretty sure mad niggas said it way back in the days, you know what I'm saying, on records, but for some reason when P said it, it kind of hit a certain nerve and shit, in a good way though, because it was like, you know what, yeah, he's right. You know what I mean? Because without hip hop, man, I would have been in the streets doing all foul shit. You know what I'm saying? Would have been getting in trouble, locked up. Who fucking knows? So you know what I mean? Like, I hear you on that shit, especially in New York. Yeah. We all that's something we all could probably relate to, is the fact that we have a lot of tragedies happen in New York, you know what I'm saying, especially with Corona hit.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying, even before that, you know how it was, man. The city cats are getting shot for 8-ball jackets, Jordans, like it's wild. You know what I mean?
It was more like hip hop was more like an outlet for people to pass the time and do something constructive with their life, instead of being on the corner, getting locked up or selling drugs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was for me. Instead of being on the corner, selling drugs or in a gang, this culture raised me. You know what I'm saying? Like it kept me off the streets, it kept me out of jail, and I will forever be grateful to the culture. And I think that's why I take it real serious, because it was like it got me through a lot of tough times, and without it, I don't know where I would be right now. So.
I feel you though. I feel you. And you know what I mean? It's kind of ironic, because a lot of people do say the same thing about vinyl. vinyl was therapeutic.
Yeah.
To collect them, to have the stash, or even just the DJ and just to, you know what I mean, just to play around with the shit is therapeutic. So, you know what I mean? I know y'all talk a lot about that old school shit. Like me, I'm kind of catching up on a lot of shit, man. Cause when I was a kid, I didn't really fuck around with the vinyl. I was never a DJ. So now I'm starting to collect records.
Yeah.
And I see where y'all come from, man. I see where y'all come from with the vinyl shit.
The vinyl thing happened because like my mom grew up buying vinyl when she was a teenager, and she would get her allowance, and when she started working, and she would spend a lot of her money on books, and it was vinyl for her. She loves music, and my grandfather same way, and I got that from them. So the vinyl collecting and everything was already in my family before I was born. So I grew up in that culture already, and then when I was like 5, 6 years old, I going to the record store with my mom. I started picking out records and buying them with my money. So when I get allowance or money for Christmas or birthdays, that's what I was spending on. So it's been with me all my life. It's not something that I just woke up and just started doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my mom's just collecting vinyl too and shit. So like I always thought this shit was hot. Shit was dope. And just to look at them shit, I never wanted to scratch the shits, and I was just like, yo, shit, ew. But I'm like, let me not fuck up her records and shit. Let me just leave this shit alone. But like, yeah, my first vinyl was shit, man. My first vinyl was fucking Tragedy, Gaddafi, Ja Rule, Big Monsters, yo. Like that shit, that beat and that vinyl was so fucking crazy. Man, I was scratching that shit all fucking day. Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm like, yo, I'm gonna chop some shit up though. You know what I'm saying? What was so let me ask you that question. What was the first vinyl you bought?
First vinyl I bought, as far as rap, I want to say it was UTFO. The album with the real Roxanne, the Roxanne disc on there. And then I bought Run DMC, Raising Hell. But like before that, I was like buying like R&B stuff, pop stuff. Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, New Edition. I was heavily into those artists. Michael Jackson. I was came up in the Thriller era. So Michael was everything for me. He was like he's still like my favorite artist all the time. Like he was like a god. You know what I'm saying? And Prince when Purple Rain dropped. So I was buying those vinyls when they came out, and then when rap was like really started to blow up, it was Run DMC and Houdini, UTFO, Curtis Blow. You know what I'm saying? Fat Boys. So but that was like my first like rap vinyls was those albums.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, Michael Jackson. I feel like if you don't got Michael Jackson in your collection, man, like I feel like that's something that needs to be in everybody's collection, even though it's not hip hop. But I mean, come on, he's the fucking king of pop, man. Like, how do you not have Michael Jackson? Like, I mean, we were discussing this on the show once before. I was telling somebody that I used to work with somebody, and you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, y'all ever heard of Michael Jackson? And these little kids would be like, nah, we don't know who Michael Jackson is. They're not little though. Here's the thing, they're not little though. They're like 20, 21. I'm like, you don't know who Michael Jackson is? What? Like, who raised you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who raised you? Like, what are you talking about? You know who Michael Jackson? You know who Lil Uzi and Little Homo and Little whatever these fucking weirdo niggas names is, but you don't know who Michael Jackson is? Like, yo,
that's the thing. It's like, back in the day, you couldn't touch your parents' record player. Like, whatever they threw on, you had to hear them the whole day. So if my mom was throwing on That Night in the Pips and Earth, Wind and Fire, that's what I had to listen to until I had to, my first, Walkman or, my first little cassette player. But you couldn't touch your parents' record player. Now, kids got their own cell phones. So they're free to listen to any streaming service. And a lot of times now, their parents is listening to what they listening to. So if they're listening to Little Uzi Vert or Migos, their parents know those songs. My mom was not listening to an MOP album back in the 90s. She was not listening to Onyx or the Dog Pound. So she don't know nothing about those artists because our parents was listening to what we were listening to back then. But it's totally different now in this era.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It's a whole nother culture, bro. Like I can't even call it culture, man. Yeah, I mean it's not even a culture, but like it's just kind of shocking because it was just like I don't even. I just I looked at this nigga all dumbfounded. I'm like, Like I wanted to call up this man's mom's aside, like, yo, how you ain't like, you know what I mean? It just didn't make sense, man. It's like, you know what I mean? But like, it is crazy with the music and shit. Like, but yeah, that was my first vinyl, and yeah, your collections for your first vinyl, dope, man. Now, you know what I mean? I do want to kind of hit you with some trivia too, like in just a second. But like, I kind of want to get a little more in depth with your collections and stuff like that. Because like, first though, actually, let me get into your show in general with your homies and shit. Because like I said, I pay the utmost respect to all shows and everybody that represents hip hop to the utmost. So why don't you explain to people a little more about the shows? Like what exactly, like how did y'all start with the shows? Like around what year and like what, you know what I mean? What do you generally expect of the platform?
Well, I'm a part of like different shows. So like I'll start from the beginning. Like 2018 is when I started. You know, I used to watch like other music bloggers on YouTube, you know, and how they went about doing their format and their videos. And I'm like, yo, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? And I started like playing around doing like 17-minute videos for like different albums and Takal or Ready to Die just to see if I could do it. And by chance, in 2018, like I was looking at one podcast and I was in the comments and, you know, just the feedback from them and just like, and they were answering a lot of my questions and we just linked to the point where I end up being on a podcast for a whole year. But you know, we had some great times, but there were like a lot of stuff behind the scenes that was going down that I didn't like, and I had to leave. But before I left that podcast, I started my own channel because there were discussions that we did on album reviews and artists that, you know, that I wanted to do that a lot of artists wasn't getting recognized that I wanted to do, and they wasn't really down with it. So I had to start my own channel, talk about those artists that wasn't getting that respect, like Heavy D and the Boys, or Kid and Play, or you know, Coolio, you know, artists like that, the Beatnuts. You know what I'm saying? These are artists that, you know, they go under the radar and they have some of the best hip hop, you know what I'm saying, ever. And that's basically why I started my own channel, was to just get my own opinions and thoughts out there, and to discuss different things that, you know, I have a lot of interest in other things besides music. You know, like I love sneakers. I'm a sneakerhead. You know, I love wrestling. I got been to a lot of wrestling shows, and, you know, I got a lot of wrestling figures and memorabilia and stuff. And I wanted to just have a channel where I can just put out my own thoughts and opinions to the world on many different things. And even when it comes to, you know, the political things and things that's plaguing Black people in society, like police brutality, and I just wanted to just cover anything that I want to talk about, just, you know, have my own channel to do it. So that's basically why I started my channel. That was 2018, and then, you know, along the way, I you know, meeting different people with their own platforms like Nostalgic, and just, you know, having that friendship where, you know, he allowed me to be on his platform has been great, and just being in that group chat with other hip hop heads like yourself that they love the same type of hip hop that I love. It's not just about Jay-Z and Nas. They go deeper than that, and that's what I grew up on. It was more like a balance and not just, you know, mainstream artists. You know, even when I started doing the street team and stuff for different labels, I wasn't just, you know, promoting for Jay-Z and Ja Rule. It was more for Dilated Peoples. You know, it was more for, you know what I'm saying? So it's always been a balance for me. So it's like I feel like at this point we already know about Jay-Z and Nas. I don't like talking about those artists because they already done made it. I'm like, let's focus on the artists that don't get that same type of respect. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of what coast, right? Whether it's from the South or the West, the East, let's focus on those. Let's give those flowers to the artists that's not getting that same type of recognition like a Jay-Z. And that was mainly my whole reason for starting my channel. And, you know, it's been great. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm definitely going to continue to do it.
No doubt. Now, before we continue this conversation, I had to segue into what you just said. So I got to ask you this question, not hip hop related, but who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
It got to be, well, I have a lot. That's hard, but I mean, for me, it started with Hulk Hogan because, and you know, the crazy thing, my grandmother got me into wrestling because she was a wrestling head, and I remember when I was like 3, 4 years old and sitting on the bed with her, she would watch Glow Wrestling with the women, the ladies wrestling, and that she used to laugh at that, at those moves that they were doing. That got me into wrestling, and then seeing Hogan beat Iron Sheik for the title, what was that, like 84? And that's what I actually wanted to be a wrestler too, because like I remember as a kid I used to like do like somersaults off the top of the bedpost and all that. And inadvertently got me into gymnastics. I took gymnastics for like 5 years, just doing flips and different things, handstands and stuff. And like I'm a huge wrestling head. I've been to a lot of wrestling shows and pay-per-views, and I still watch it. You know what I'm saying? And Hulk Hogan for me, he was like my introduction to WWF. It was him, and then watching the greats like Undertaker and Bret Hart. Flying in peace, Ric Flair, Sting. It's like I watched wrestling, like that was like my life. You know what I'm saying? So,
yo, I gotta say, man, Hulk Hogan back in the days had one of the best entrances. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like his theme music, it was just fucking. It was like on some John Cena shit. Now, back then though, like everybody was hyped to hear that shit. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So definitely.
Like when you saw him wrestle, it was like the build up of like him being down and out in the ring, and then he just had like this big comeback, and he made you feel it. Like once that entrance music came on, I used to get goosebumps in my arms just from listening to it. And Hogan was great for what he did, and bridging entertainment into wrestling. Like if it wasn't for Hogan, you wouldn't have The Rock doing, being a big movie star like he is, John Cena and everybody else. So like Hogan was definitely one of the pioneers.
I have to say this, I always went for the underdog too, man. Like Rey Mysterio, I always had, he was always the G, man. I mean, the smallest dude in probably I think he's one of the small. I think he's the smallest dude in wrestling, but like. Yeah, the way he just represented, especially because I'm Latino, so you already know it's like that definitely meant a lot to us Latinos. A small dude just coming out, just kicking everybody ass around the ring and shit. But it's definitely I just wanted to ask that because I'm a wrestling fan too. I just personally haven't watched more recently. I feel like it became more Hollywood and shit, like what I mean, like as opposed to back then where it was kind of more. The Attitude Era, I guess you could say, like that was more of my shit, and NWO and all that. But like, I just figured I wanted to ask you about that shit right quick because it's not so often people actually talk about wrestling without people all being judgmental and acting, you know what I mean? All that shit is fake. I don't give a fuck about it being fake. Like
like growing up, I used to like my mom would be like, "Why are you watching that? It's fake. They doing fake moves. Everything is already determined." But I'm like, you can't really explain it. It's like when you're a wrestling fan and you're that deep in it, wrestling, it's like, who cares if it's real or not? It's great. It's good. You know what I mean? So
you see, wrestling to us was like football now. Well, football in general, because you know what I'm saying? It's like when they had that ill comeback and they're getting stomped all over the place, it's the feeling behind it. Just knowing that, just like watching football, where, you know what I mean? If someone's behind by a couple points and I know where interception and like everything just gets real hype and shit. That's the thrill of it. I used to love watching that. And plus, I always wrestle with my son. You know what I mean? They throw me up and throw my big ass off the bed and shit. You know what I mean? Choke slamming each other and shit. Like, the wrestling is over. I feel like wrestling isn't everybody's life. So a lot of people won't admit this shit because they feel like, you know what I mean? They feel like they're nerds and some shit. But so let's be real, man. From back when we was growing up, being a nerd was not cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got beat up, bullied, whatever, etc., etc. But in this age, we the cool ones. Right. We the cool motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what you watch all day? I watch wrestling. You the coolest motherfucker on the block.
I mean, you gotta be yourself. I don't know how to be nobody else but me. So it's like I was heavy into wrestling, heavy into comics, and that's just what it was. It was like I can't be nobody else. I gotta be me 24/7. So like now it gets a lot of praise, but back then people look at you like you were weird. Like, what, you watch wrestling? You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? So it's like that never phased me. It's like I always had my own mind, and it's like, I love wrestling.
Yo, it's had the mentions, somebody asked who we rocking with, Eagles or Chiefs. I got the Eagles all day.
I
You know what I mean?
know you're an Eagles fan. Like the Eagles beat my Giants, so I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. But I think it'll be a
Word.
close game. It's gonna be close. I want to say 28-24 Chiefs, but that game could go either way. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He has a great team, and I don't see why they can't win on Sunday.
I mean, it's gonna be something definitely to watch because a lot of people were failing to understand Jalen Hurts still has a hurt shoulder,
Right.
and the fact that he pulled off what he did against the Niners with a hurt shoulder, it just shows the kind of. I mean, it's a catch-22 with it because it shows his length as a quarterback, like his whatever you want to call it. But it's a catch-22 because he could be permanently out
Yeah,
in the next year or two. So, but I've been watching Jalen since he got traded to the team, and I always thought he's a good choice. And now look, he's up for MVP or whatever it is. But like, I mean, I just watch it for the fun of it. You know what I mean? I enjoy the rush. I love it. Like I love the Eagles because they like the underdogs and shit. Now they top notch. So it's interesting to see. Watch, 'cause if they win this, they win that championship, man. Watch. You know how many dick riders is gonna be, bro? There's dick riders right now. All the So it's funny. That's why I got my jersey on now as proof. You know what I mean? I've been an Eagles fan, so when they win, can't nobody say no funny shit to me. This man bandwagon it. Nah, son. I've been a fan for a couple of years, so putting that out there. But now back to what you were saying before we get back to the hip hop real quick, because you said something interesting to me. So you was into the comics. Now, are you more of a DC cat or a Marvel cat?
Oh man, when I was younger, it was more DC. Like I loved Batman. Batman was probably like my favorite, like Batman and Robin, and Superman. That whole Justice League. But now, like now, years later, I'm more Marvel. But I love any comic. It don't have to necessarily be Marvel or DC. Like any comic, book company, if they have a good storyline and a good character, I'll read it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important, especially for our people to read more. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that being preached enough. You know what I'm saying? And I love to read, and I think that goes a long way when you read a good book or novel, and the way that you speak, you can articulate better. And I think I've articulated in a lot because of the reading different things. So.
Just to add a little footnote, you know what I mean? Like a little, whatever you want to call it, man. Easter egg, whatever, throwback. See, my thing is, I didn't have a dad, you know what I'm saying, growing up. So, now, I don't know how many people can relate to what I'm saying, but like, I've always felt like comics and anime have always hit on subjects that if you wasn't raised with a dad, it would teach you stuff that you might not have known, you might not have learned from your mother. So it's like, I'm an anime head and a comic head. And the X-Men, especially Stan Lee. I always felt like Stan Lee was speaking directly to us as minorities or whatever you want to call it. So, you know what I mean? I always felt like Marvel kind of hit a little bit more for me than DC Comics. Batman was the shit, though. I don't go for like he's the only dude without superpowers that was straight. You know what I mean? Dominate. But just to get right back into that same subject now. So who do you think would win out of the Avengers and the Justice League?
Man. I don't know. That'd be hard. I think that would be a close battle too, because I mean, you got Superman with his rays, and so he's like the man that really could beat anybody. On the other hand, you got Iron Man and Captain America, and you got the Hulk. There ain't too many people taking out the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? That would be I don't know. I see Justice League got a lot of different characters, even like the characters that are not talked about. It's like always the main ones that we know, but they have like hundreds of Justice League members. Avengers, they don't have as many. So it's like if it come down to like a battle, it's like I think Justice League is winning that.
See, I had to sit there and retract myself real quick. And I had to sit there and think about it because me personally, I'm going for Marvel. But as I sat there and thought about it,
Mm,
the Justice League had a lot more flyers
yeah.
in the group. And if you think about on a combat level,
Mm,
they would have the advantage
yeah.
because they could, you know what I mean? Especially because a lot of them have, you know, lasers and mystical shit. And, you know, in a way, I guess DC probably would come out on top. I mean, even though you do have Thor, you got Iron Man, Hulk and shit that could get shit popping. But let's be real. If it was,
If you look at Endgame, they had their hard time dealing with Thanos. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So how would they fare against the Justice League or Dark Side? You know what I'm saying? And you know, the flying goes a long way. That's like a extra weapon in your arsenal that a lot of them have. Aquaman can fly too. People forget. You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
So
That's true.
you know, I think that would be a great battle to see. But I think Justice League, with all of their members, I think they clearly would beat Avengers.
Or I mean, it's something to really think about. I mean, I'm not too far into the DC enough to know each character's specific thing. I know the Supermans and Batman, the main primaries, the Green Lantern, you know what I mean, the Martian Manhunter and shit. So, but like to go further into the other ones that got added in, the Flash was in there too. But like, you know what I mean, it would be kind of crazy. The fact that Flash can reverse, I mean, go back in time, and Superman can go back in time. It's like you have to really sit there and take that into a thought for a second. It's like, yeah, well, he can just slap you and go back in time and do it again. So it's like,
That's a good point that you brought up, because even if Justice League lost, Flash can still go back in time and change things. You know what I'm saying?
or so yeah, I had to really sit there and think for a second. I was really hyped about it too. I'm like, nah, Marvel got this shit. You know what I mean? Marvel got this shit, bro. I mean, if you throw in the X-Men, I think it would be a game changer just to have the psychics going against all the other people, Jean Grey and Xavier, and just in general Wolverine. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I had to think about it for a second because it was like, yo, I didn't want to come to that harsh truth. I let myself down with that question, but it was very informative. But yeah, no doubt. But yeah, so anyways, yo, back to the hip hop before we get too far off. Cause yeah, I love chatting about that type of shit, man. Cause like I said, I grew up off of that. A lot of people relate to it. A lot of rappers do. A lot of rappers rap about comics. Rap about all this other shit, like the homie Elder Sensei and shit. He watches anime. He was watching it, like me and him was talking about me. He was watching this shit without the subtitles. I'm like, how the fuck you watch the animes without the subtitles? He was like, I just made up the words. I'm like, all right, yo, you want a whole nother level of anime, bro? Like that shit is crazy. But we all relate to this shit. I love it, especially Last Emperor. Last Emperor is definitely one of my favorite rappers because of the storytelling.
Song, that Secret Wars joint. And I remember when Vito played that, I was like, yo, like this is great storytelling at its finest. Like the way he broke the character and what they were doing, I'm like, this should be a movie. Like that was crazy.
You know what blew my fucking mind though? He threw everybody like the ill flash grenade and shit because he hopped on stage at one of his shows, probably all his shows, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do a live Secret Wars Part 2." It wasn't it wasn't the original. It was a Part 2 that should have came out. And the shit he was rapping was kind of like, oh shit, like you could catch the shit on YouTube, but I don't even know if that shit was supposed to be released, like the way they did it. But man, yeah, he so you know he got Jungle Cats, like you know what I mean. Are you familiar with the Bigfoot album?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I love that. I listen to that shit every day, like 24 hours a day type shit, and it's just the storytelling behind it, and the fact that he didn't curse. Like if you're gonna put two top MCs in a category without cursing, Rakim and Last Emperor, like by far. So, but yeah, so I just had to mention that shit real quick because of the way they talk about shit like that. Napoleon the Legends, he's awesome with the anime references and shit. Like we got a lot of that dope shit, man. That's my personal love for hip hop. I mean, I could love the street shit all day, the drug shit, the drama, everyday life drama. But who really wants to hear the everyday life drama all the time?
You
You
got.
know what I mean?
Sometimes, you know, you may wake up, you may not want to listen to Wu-Tang. You may want to listen to, you know, Will Smith. You may want to listen to Hammer. You may want to listen to Drake. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have a variety. I've always had a different taste for a lot of different things.
Yeah, yeah. What's your thoughts on the newer age, new generation of hip hop?
There's a lot more artists that's getting through the door. It's a lot more easier now for an artist to, you know, be a huge rap star than it was back in the 80s and 90s when they actually had to go up to the offices with their demo and hope that you meet somebody important from the label. It's not like that anymore because of social media, but there's a lot more. It's more easier for artists to get in there. But as far as like underground is flourishing. There's a lot more. I love the fact that an underground artist can have a buzz and be just as popular as the mainstream artists now. We didn't see that back in the 90s when, you know, Mike Geronimo wasn't even thought of. They wasn't even talking about him, and he was out there killing it, and Royal Flush and artists like that. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Griselda. I feel like Griselda opened that door for like a lot of indie and underground artists to get their shine as well. You know,
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
a lot of artists that I love. I love, you know, Rome Streets. You know, RJ Payne. You know, he's killing it. You know, Rock Marcy been killing it for forever. You know, there's a lot of great underground artists. As far as the mainstream, I'm not a fan of mumble rap, so I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think it's a fad. I don't think it's gonna stay around for a long time. You know, but you know, like, even with them, they gotta get they shine and they gotta eat too. So
My thing is, yo, like I feel like I did ass feel like Bone Thugs and Harmony would have been the legends of this mumble rap shit. Because you know how many years it took for people to really understand what the Bone Thugs and Harmony was saying in the Crossroads song, like before they came out with the fucking lyrics and shit. Like I did I feel like they would have been they would have been the kings of fucking mumble rap and shit.
they had style, and you could actually hear what they were saying. It wasn't like they were just mumbling and that was it. They were harmonizing at times, and they were like I'm like, people make this whole thing about Drake. Drake didn't start that. You know, you had Force MDs that was doing that before him. You had Domino. You had Bone Thugs. You know what I'm saying? There was other artists in rap that was, you know, harmonizing in their songs before Drake.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah, yeah. The fucking even before Bone Thugs and Harmony, I'm like, yeah, there's been mad rappers doing that shit. But there was what do you want to call it? There was substance. There was substance in the lyricism that different from this shit. Because I feel like a lot of these niggas, man, just be like da 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 da. They be saying shit, and then they just go back later on and write the words in.
Right.
To make it sound like they were saying shit. Like that's just how it feels. Like it don't make sense. And a lot of them be saying a whole bunch of weird shit that just don't make. It makes no fucking sense. Like I'm a producer, so a lot of times I actually just if I was to listen to a trap shit, it would probably be just for the beat,
Right.
only the fucking beat.
Right.
But
I think this generation, like the kids, they don't care about bars. That's not what they focus on. It's about to feel good music to them, to pass the time, and that's what they care about. It's like it feels good to them. But you know, for me, it's like I gotta hear what you actually saying, what you saying in your bars. You know what I'm saying? Like how are you gonna keep me to keep listening to you? And a lot of the kids don't get that. So it's like we can't really debate with a teenager because they're not thinking the same, they're not hearing the music the same as us.
very much. I mean, we could coexist with them and shit. I think it's just the me personally. It's the instrumental, man. Like you could be saying the dopest shit ever, but the fucking beat is weak as fuck. You know what I mean? It kind of takes away from the impact. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that was a lot of my issue with the newer Nas. The older Nas, like Illmatic Nas, flawless. But then you listen to the newer shit, it's like, yeah, there's bits and pieces where it's like, yeah, shit's fire as fuck. But then it's like, the fuck did you pick that beat for? Like, that beat is just...
I feel like Nas is so talented that he could flow on any beat, whether it's a boom bap beat or trap or whatever. And I think we're getting the mature Nas now. It's more like a reflection of what he used to be 25, 30 years ago. And I think he's making some of the best music in his life right now, you know, him and Hip Boy.
It's definitely. I mean, but see, that's just it. It's like what he's saying in the track is dope. It's not. It's never the lyricism with Nas. Nas is always gonna write some fire ass shit. It's just the selection of the beat kind of throws off the impact of the metaphor, the impact of the you know what I mean, the emphasis. Because it's just at the end of the day, it's like I said, like let's say if you took a big pun verse and you threw it over a weirdo trap beat, it might kind of click, but at the end of the day, it takes away from what he was really trying to do.
If you're a Nas fan, how many albums with him and Primo would you want? You know what I'm saying? Before that gets kind of stale. You know, like now he's giving it. I mean, he's already working on King's Disease Part 4 with Hip Boy. Nobody expected this, but I think it's like a breath of fresh air for Nas to not work with the well-known producer that we know he could do. We know he could do stuff with Primo. We know he could do stuff with Alchemist and Pete Rock. But to take Hip Boy that was doing stuff for, you know, the commercial artists, the trap artists, and to get him in the studio with a legend like Nas, I think that's why it works. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, he's still being able to work with a Primo or the Firm or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because he still got it, and he's showing it like, you know, like I could work with anybody and still make this shit fire.
Yeah, no, definitely, I definitely agree with that. I mean, at the same time, I mean, me personally though, I would have, if I had an unlimited selection of DJ Premier Nas albums, I would have that shit go on until he like 80 years old and shit. Because
I've been looking at that album for 30 years. I'm like, yo, we gotta get that Primo and Nas album. It's only right. We gotta get that before we gotta get that Primo album.
I mean, I think it would still be as fire now as it would have been back then, but I feel like they should have done it at his prime.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, because there was always classic albums I expected from Nas. He might still do it, just, you know, when he's on his way out the door and shit. But like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, Large Pro, entire albums. Like I think that kind of is needed, man, because, you know, Large Pro produced a lot of his shit, Primo on the original, so it would be only right to kind of have that going. But knowing Nas, he's gonna have a King Disease Part 20 and shit, so before he drops anything similar to that. So, but I definitely agree with you. It definitely is a fresh air. I'm gonna tell you this right now. There was one thing he did that I'm glad he did, and I feel like it kind of set the bar for a lot of people, a lot of artists. When he brought back Lauryn Hill, I think when he did that shit, it just showed how, you know what I mean, how fucking dope he is, just to be able to do that. Lauryn Hill don't just work with anybody. So, you know what I mean, like that was definitely needed. I think that's one of my favorite joints off of more of the recent joints, only because I'm a fan of Lauryn Hill. You're a fan of the Fugees, then how could you not be? And not even just that, but it's what she's saying in the song about how she ain't gonna just hop on anybody's record. She ain't gonna just jump ropes from niggas and shit. She does what the fuck she feels like doing. So that was a very important record, man. Definitely important. But yeah, not definitely. There's a lot of good music out here, though. It's just I feel like a lot of it is just over exaggerated. You know what I mean? It's like the TRL days where they would play the shit fucking 30 times back to back, and it would be the wackest shit ever. It's like, it's kind of how it is now, where they're just MK Ultra the shit out of you until you have to like it. It's like, I don't even listen. People that know me, I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch TV. So I try to just completely just exile myself from all that shit, because
I think it's a lot more easier to date for what you want now, because like artists are dropping projects frequently compared to back in the day. It'd be like every 2 years they take off, maybe some take longer off. But I think now, because of the internet and social media, it's more easy to dig for what you want compared to what they're showing you. You know, you can ignore what they're showing you and dig. I mean, that's what we did. Like when I go to the record store, I have to dig for what I want. You know, regardless of what MTV and BT was playing at that time. It was like, if I wanted to get this Talib Kweli album, I gotta go to this record store and find out if they got it. If they ain't got it there, then I gotta go to some. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot more easier to dig for what you're looking for now, because there's so much that's out there. There's so many different artists in different genres compared to back in the day. You know, but yeah, like I don't listen to the radio. I haven't listened to the radio since Kanye did My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's the time, because he was actually on the radio when he had his Good Fridays and he was like dropping unreleased joints that didn't make that album. But I haven't listened to the radio in years, you know. So he really about they had the same playlist over and over. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists got overplayed and.
You know, the ironic part about this whole shit is that we have so much, what you want to call it, so many plugs now, so many outlets, but people are still failing to utilize that. They, instead of them digging in the crates to the classics, they'd rather just stay obligated with the newer age to be on the bandwagon and shit. So it's like, it sucks. Like me, I'm like, yo, I'm checking out older shit that I ain't never heard before, and I'm playing that shit all like back to forth type shit. So I feel like the information highway still, people are still limiting themselves to what could be actually done. Like, because these newer kids were to go back and listen to a KRS-One Gangstar album, they probably, even they would have probably a change of thought about the newer age rappers. Like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is a huge jump between fucking like generations and shit. But yo, I don't know what the fuck just happened, bro. Like my phone just straight shut down, and like everything was like, nope, sorry, no internet for you. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on, yo? That shit ain't never happened before. Like Instagram must have been real mad about that King Disease review. God damn. So, anyways, sorry Instagram, we ain't gonna talk about Nas no more. God damn. Anyways, yeah, so alright, so yeah, I was gonna ask you some questions and shit before this shit starts acting stupid again. So a little trivia and shit. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. Alright, so basically, if you had an opportunity to watch somebody battle, like in the hip hop game, who would you want to watch battle each other?
Black Thought and maybe Eminem.
Now, who would you want to win in that battle?
I mean, they made the best man win, because I feel like Eminem is a great freestyler. Like, I remember those Tim Westwood freestyles. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he added some witty lines to his freestyles, and you know, he's just dope. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he gets enough credit. Black Thought, we know what he could bring. There's a lot of battles, but I think like Black Thought, Eminem, that would be something.
So, based on previous beefs and shit, who do you think won out of the Cannabis LL battle?
I think Cannabis won. I think once when Second Round Knockout came out, that was huge. Like, that was everywhere. I remember seeing the video for that on BT and Hot 97 playing it, and actually I think when Cannabis was up there, and you know, LL called in and he was like talking, when Cannabis was talking about the story of how, you know, LL heard his verse and he wanted him to change his verse or whatever, because he felt like the mic on my arm line was like about him, and that was just real petty by LL. You know what I'm saying? And I love LL. I just thought he was just petty to do that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that one line where Cannabis say 99% of your fans were high heels, that's a fact. That's a fact. Every woman I know love LL Cool J. You know what I'm saying? And he killed him with that, to me. Like the Ripper Strikes Back was dope. That was a dope song. But I felt like once Second Round Knockout came out, I was like, he killed him, and unfortunately, I think cannabis got blackballed by a lot of, DJs, and because of the legacy of LL. But to me, he was like the rookie on the block, and he murdered LL to me.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Cannabis was one of my favorite rappers. He was one of the main reasons I started rapping. It's because like the punchlines, the metaphors, everything he was saying, his vocab was very vast. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to really be on your shit but listening to his shit because yeah, he was crazy. So who do you pick over Big L and Big Pun?
Man, they started talking about this years ago. I'm like, I love both of them. Both of them are no longer here, unfortunately. I don't know, because L had those metaphors and those punchlines, and pun's flow was just crazy. Like to be that big and have that breath control, it was not too many people could do that. You know what I'm saying? And his delivery on different songs, and he just had it all. The first Latino rapper to go platinum, that was major. That's his story. I don't know. I think that would be a tie, man. I can't choose, man, because I love them equally. You know what I'm saying? Like I love both of their albums equally, and they both DITC affiliated, and you know what I mean.
So let's narrow it down then. So if they were to battle punchline and analogy wise, who do you think would win?
I probably would go with L. But it's really now.
Be a very narrow, it would be a very close knit battle.
I think Fun would still kill him on a lot of stuff though. But L, he just had it, man. Like his freestyles, his delivery, his flow, everything was that was hip hop. That was like what bars is about. Like the young generation coming up and they want to hear about bars, they gotta listen to Big L. You know what I'm saying? Big L just, he was phenomenal.
No doubt. So who did you, when you were younger, who did you listen to more of? Did you listen to Rockefeller or Bad Boy?
I listened to Bad Boy up until 99. Yeah, cause 99, I think I was when Double Up came out. The second Mace album, I didn't like that. Puffy's second album was trash. Rockefeller had a longer run, you know what I'm saying? And it helped because I promoted for Bad Boy, but I promoted for Bad Boy in the 2000s. I promoted for Rockefeller first. And to see when Dipset joined them and they made their epic run, and Freeway and State Property, and Nori later came to the crew, and they were just phenomenal. And Jay, I felt like Jay really should have invested more in the State Property members, and Petey Crack, Sparks, and that whole collective could have been huge. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't always in trouble, Bleak, he was decent. He should have had more of a run. But I felt like it was more like Jay and Dipset, and that whole thing is what brought them down. That whole feud with Jay and Cam, and people stealing beats and everything. And if everybody was promoted equally the way that Jay was, that they would have still been doing it right now. And it's a shame just to see a legendary crew like that just fall over and all kind of stuff. Him and Dame falling out is crazy. But I respect them. I shout out to Dame and Jay, and they treated us well over here. So
we ain't lying, man. They gave us a lot of hits. They gave us a lot of dope ass clothes. You know what I'm saying? They had a lot of shit going back then. So all right, let me ask you this: Beyonce or Mary J. Blige?
Mary. I always felt like Mary spoke for the hood. She was for the hood chicks. And my first concert ever in 1992 was the Uptown MCA tour, then Mary was on that tour, first ever tour, and seeing her perform, Real Love Live and reminisce, and you remind me, phenomenal. Yeah, I've seen Mary like at least 3 times live. Never saw Beyonce. Beyonce is great. She's a great artist. She's beautiful. She's talented. She got the hits. But I always felt like Mary was more for the hood. She was more for us. She was more for like the people in the streets, and she's still herself. She hasn't changed. Like all the money she's got, did joints with Bono and Elton John. She's still the same Mary from around the way, and that's what I love about her. No matter how big and famous she got, she's still the same person, and that's great.
Facts. So what about Foxy Brown versus Lil Kim?
I love both of them. Foxy, I will give the edge to because I think she made better albums. I love Hardcore was great. That to me is Lil Kim's best album. Foxy Il Nana was huge. Broken Silence was great, a very underrated album. I prefer Foxy's rapping a little bit more than Kim, but what they did for women in the 90s and letting telling women like it's okay to be seductive. If you got it, flaunt it. You don't have to be afraid to show your goods, and a lot of people didn't like that, and I get it, but it's like at the end of the day, sex sells. It's it's all about sex appeal. So a lot of when we might look at a woman that's singing, and some of our favorite R&B chicks are gorgeous, and we might be like, yo, like she look good, you know what I'm saying, and they wasn't afraid to flaunt what they had, you know what I'm saying? So
there was one rumor back in the day that was flown around. I mentioned this once before. That supposedly Nas wrote a lot of her bars back when they were in the firm.
Yeah, I heard that.
So
too. Yeah,
that kind of soured a little bit for me with her, because I sat there and thought she had some dope ass shit, but then you listen to that, like damn, like you can kind of tell someone ghost wrote that shit too, the fucking affirmative action shit. Because the affirmative, her lyricism and affirmative action didn't match up to the whole rest of her catalogs, like just the verse alone. So it kind of made sense for Nas to maybe have a hand in ghostwriting the shit. But yeah, that shit always had me for a minute. I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Cause I always wondered if Lil Kim had ghostwriters too. Because unfortunately, that's how it was back then.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
About Biggie helping her with her rhymes, and but I mean, I don't think it takes away from their talent. You know what I'm saying? I just Kim, I've seen Kim, live, and she killed it. You know what I'm saying? And they both Brooklyn legends to me. So
I definitely feel you on that. So who do you think you would choose in a battle between Iron Man and Batman?
Batman, because Batman, what I love about Batman, you don't have no superpowers. This is a guy that he watched his parents die by the hands of the Joker, and he used that anger to be a superhero. You know what I'm saying? And coming up with his own gadgets, and learning how to fight and ninjutsu, practicing ninjutsu and all that. And Batman don't have no superpowers. He just know how to kick people's ass, and I think you gotta give him that respect. Is when I went to see Batman versus Superman, like he was kicking Superman's ass. You know what I'm saying? This is the Man of Steel. This is Kal-El from another planet and all that. You know what I'm saying? And he couldn't fuck with Batman. Batman had his number. Batman was smart. He found out his weakness, and that's what he got. That's what he got to Superman. Like he's like, yo, let me make this kryptonite staff. You know what I'm saying? Oh, your mom's name is Martha too. We got something in common now. So now we got to team up for the greater good and go after Lex Luthor and Doomsday and Darkseid. You know what I'm saying? But before then, he had Superman's number.
Yeah, he was. I still didn't really. I mean, I kind of understood the battle, but at the same time, I mean, if you really broke it down
Yeah,
realistically,
yeah.
if Superman was to just straight use his laser eyes,
He could have beat him. Yeah,
it would have been over within seconds. But
oh yeah.
because of his true humility,
Hmm.
that was never gonna happen. But I feel like that
I think they showed that in the movie that was that was Superman's weakness was his mom and Lois Lane, and being he was he had humility that Lex Luthor could have used that to his advantage. You know what I'm saying? He could have used that to his advantage to destroy Superman because of him having that love for Martha and for Lois. Whereas if you look at Batman, he lost his parents at a young age. He saw them get murdered in front of him.
yeah.
So Batman was more cold blooded, and even though like I felt like he, as many times as he battled the Joker, he could have killed the Joker at any point, and he decided I'm not gonna kill him. I'm gonna no matter how bad they are, I'm gonna still keep them alive. But Batman, I think Batman would have, if he had to, he would have killed somebody. So
Oh yeah, definitely. He had the intelligence to kill somebody with their own fear. Like, you know
right,
what I mean? Like he was definitely on some. He could be on some scarecrow shit.
yeah,
Like I definitely could have. I definitely always felt like some of the villains in Batman's comics
mhm,
were kind of branch offs from his own personality.
yeah,
That's kind of what I was feeding from it, because the Scarecrow feeded on people's fears, and Batman was always had that fear of his parents being killed, and so you know what I mean. A lot of that kind of played into it.
yeah,
Like, so yeah, it's kind of crazy thinking about that, and the fact that I mean, like I said, he was kicking Superman's ass, but it's like at the same time, if you were to compare and contrast Iron Man to Batman,
mhm,
like they're both highly intelligent. I mean,
right,
the only thing I could think of that would have been a slight weakness would have been Iron Man's energy eventually would have, you know what I
yeah.
mean, it would have been
Yeah.
depleted
I
because
think in the past, it was like even if you think you got him, and it's like, oh well, he got another suit on the way, or he got something, around the corner waiting for you, and you know what I mean. So that would be a good battle. I think Batman would win though, but you can never count Tony Stark's out.
I bet, because like if you were to like put them up against each other, I feel like if Batman had like, all right, so if Batman had time to
Mm,
prepare, he definitely would win.
yeah.
But I feel like if it was on the spot,
Mm,
like, you know what I mean, he's just flying around, oh, we bumped into each other type shit.
yeah.
I kind of feel Iron Man would have the advantage in that situation, only because the proton cannon and smart bombs and all the weaponry he had was highly advanced. And Batman would really need time to sit there and have what do you want to call that? Like, you know what I mean? Like a backup plan. And with Superman, he was prepared. He was prepared for that shit because he really sat there and thought about the shit. But
Yeah.
if you put them one on one, face to face, like live in action, I do feel like Iron Man would have an advantage. But if Batman had time to play it, yeah, he definitely would have shut it down in like the first couple seconds. And shit, definitely agree with that shit. So yeah. So let me ask you one more question, because I don't want to hold you up too much longer, because I knew this shit was all acting weird and shit. And so if you had an opportunity to bring back one show, what would you want to bring back? Between maybe like The Basement, MTV, TRL Live, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Rap City. If you had like an authentic host
Mm,
to bring it back, like the original host, I should say, not the ones we got now, because I feel like a lot of that is
yeah.
just Hollywood shit. But like, if you had a chance to bring back one of those shows, which one would you prefer to bring back?
It gotta be Yo MTV Raps, definitely, because I never missed it. And if I did, I made sure I had my VCR at that time, recording it for me. Saturday mornings at like, what was it, like 11:30 it would come on. They changed the time of it. It would be like Saturday nights, then it went to Saturday mornings, and then the weekdays, but I never missed it. Benson Freddy, salute to him. He was great. I like the fact that he was on location for a lot of these artists. And then when they did like in the studio with Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, and T Money, bringing the artists in to interview them and then having them perform, it was great. A lot of great performances. Das Effects and Wu-Tang Clan, Grand Poobah. I remember those shows like it was yesterday. And that was like MTV raised us, like, you know, before streaming, before on demand, we would have to sit through some of those shows just to get to our show. So a lot of those shows, like, you know, MTV Unplugged, I had to watch, you know, or 120 Minutes or Club MTV. But MTV raised us, you know, back then, and you know, there's many great memories just, you know, watching the show for us, by us. So that one I would definitely bring back with the original host.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I kind of feel like I kind of prefer the basement, only because the experience in it was more natural in a way. It wasn't like studio based. It was like it was in his basement, and you know what I mean. Everything was just on the spot. People were just coming in randomly, like out of nowhere, like right off the street type shit. Like I would never. The most epic shit I ever seen on the basement was when Ghostface Killer showed up with the fucking body bag and shit, like that. You know what I mean? Like I think, like to this day, I still feel like that shit was rehearsed, because it seemed a little theatrical. You know what I'm saying? It didn't seem all the way authentic, but I wouldn't be surprised with Ghostface Killer the way he is and shit. Yeah. But the fact that you had the live freestyles on the spot and shit, and be able to do all this and that, and everything just felt natural, man. I felt like you was just rolling up in someone's basement. Yo, let's all just kick this fucking cypher and shit. Let's get this shit popping. Now, that's kind of how the basement was. I feel like if we brought that shit back, man, I think that shit would be dope, man. Like personally, I know they try to revamp a lot of these shows, but I don't like the hosts, man. The hosts are not natural. It feels forced. You know what I'm saying?
We don't know the culture. That's what it is. So it's like they try to bring back our show, but with a new host, it's not the same. You know? Yeah,
definitely ain't the motherfucking same, man. Like they got all these big names just to sell the program and shit, but like the feel ain't the same, man. Because you can't. I mean, even if we could, I'd bring back 106 Park, man. The fucking freestyle battles and shit. All that shit, man. That shit was crazy, man. Like I feel like that's what the hip hop needs. Definitely. Like take all these fucking Hollywood people out the program and bring back the original shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then even do mixtapes again, man. They need the mixtape game back, man. For those real hip hop heads, they know about the DJ Clues. You know what I'm saying? And all that other shit. And I feel like we need some of that too, because the Clues, man, I couldn't wait to hear a new Clue fucking drop with a fucking new Nas joint or a new Nature joint. Fabulous. Like he had all them niggas on every fucking you know what I'm saying? It's locks. Like I miss those days, man. I wish we could bring anything back in hip hop. I kind of want the mixtape game back. Like, you know what I mean?
The last like great era for hip hop was the mixtape era, and seeing 50 Cent rise to fame and Weezy get more popular. You know, Dipset and D Block. That was the best years for a mixtape. I miss those days.
Yeah, no, definitely. And DJ Clue set the fucking bar. But he was the first DJ to bring mixtapes to CDs and shit. Like, yeah, he definitely set the bar for that shit. Peace, DJ Tech One.
Salute, Tech.
What's your real quick though? What's your thoughts on Funkmaster Flex, man? Like, cause I see a whole lot of shit floating around. I really don't be on social media like that. I be on like twice a day, if that, cause I don't really fuck with the shit. But what's your thoughts on Funkmaster Flex? Being that he was a pioneer from the mixtape game too, plus on top of everything else, the shit he was dropping was like some ill shit. Like you had to freestyles from DMX and shit, like shit that you just like you couldn't get nowhere type shit. So what is your thoughts on him now? Like you feel like he should be allowed because he did all that shit back then to do whatever he's doing now, or do you feel like he should convert back to the old funk Master Flex?
I think now he's become like a social media like troll. Like a lot of things now he's saying, you know, especially about the whole Tupac faking his shooting and all that. I'm like, you wasn't gonna say that when Pac was here, because you know how Pac goddamn, you know, a lot of people here was afraid of Pac. Let's keep that a buck. You know what I'm saying? When Pac was going that big, and we had both coasts going at each other, there was a lot of artists here that didn't say nothing. And when they did, they were doing it subliminally. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like, he wasn't gonna say that in 95. In 95, say that to Pac face in 95. He wasn't gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? But for what he's done, he was a great DJ. Like, you know, the times when I did listen to Hot 97, I listened to Funk Flex because he was breaking in a lot of the new records, dropping bombs on them. You know, a lot of the artists came up to the studio. I remember when Dog Pound had filmed New York over here, and they were shooting at them on the video set, and he had Cypress Hill was up here around that time, and they were promoting for Temples of Boom, and you know, he's a great DJ. Like, he is a DJ. Like, he had the crates of records. He wasn't one of these Serato cats. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he put out his little mixtape albums, and they were dope. And you know, he was. I think people forgot about that. Like, he is a great DJ. It's just now it's like he's more like a social media troll. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you on that.
That's the homie right there, Brooklyn Nick. Shout out to you.
Yo, peace. I feel like, you know what I mean? Because I think that there's a lot of misconception on the game. A lot of people feel like, well, yo, I did all this shit back in the day. I'm allowed to do whatever I want now. It's like, that shit don't work. Even if you was like a drug dealer or this and that, yeah, you might do your dirt back in the day type shit, but this is a new era. Like, you know what I'm saying? If the shit don't come with you, if it don't come with you to this new period, it don't count. Because it's like every new generation, every new millennium, it's like a reset button. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get, you know what I'm saying? If you start out with all these whack ass artists, and you trying to claim, well, I was back in the day, I knew what I was doing. Yeah, but that's back in the day. You should be sticking to what you know and what you know what I'm saying, what you're doing for the hip hop.
I do like the fact that he has the artists, bringing the artists back up at the station and having them freestyle, so that this generation know what freestyling is and they know what real bars are. When you hear Royce the 5'9" and Black Thought, freestyle was a classic. You know what I'm saying? They gotta know, they gotta hear it, and it gotta be from the OGs like Flex, you know, like Red Alert, like Chuck Chill Out, the OGs that were carrying crates of records with them everywhere they go, to every venue. They didn't have Serato back then. You know what I'm saying? The Serato DJ is different from the DJs that actually had the vinyl. You know what I'm saying? And Flex is from that era. So I like the fact that he is bringing back the freestyles and having those artists come up to the station.
It's true. I mean, one of the main shows I've been watching is the Noriega Drink Champs. Even though there's a lot of controversy with the shit, a lot of it, I don't know if it's just Hollywood shit or, you know what I mean, or it really is legit situations and circumstances. But Nori has always been solid in my book, all the way from, you know what I mean, CNN days, all the way to now. But it's definitely a good show to watch because I like the fact he's not just bringing on whoever's popping, he's bringing on all his friends, giving them a spotlight. He's bringing on people from the neighborhood. He's bringing on everybody that was a part of the culture. So I love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like the new shit with, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the newer shit you see, I'm not so sure about all that. Like I feel like they just bring people on to just start up a whole bunch of drama and shit. But I think it's different when Noriega does, because surprisingly enough, he was caught in the middle of a lot of that shit back then.
Yeah.
So,
you know, salute to Nori, because that's what we're supposed to do for our legends. Give them their flowers while they're still here. Not wait till they drop dead and be like, oh, I was a fan of this person, but you didn't show that when they were alive. So I like the fact that he's able to bring on, you know, P-Rock and Premier and Marley Marl and Chris Brown even. And yeah, you're supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to him.